Hiya, I'm Jasper, and welcome to your video review for The Owl House, Season 3. So, as always, I'm going to give you the good, the bad, and the furry. To start off the furry, link in the description down below for my review for Season 1 and 2, so I'm just going to kind of hop in here, so spoilers for those two seasons, I guess, technically. But this is a show set in a demon realm, so there are lots of furry and furry-esque things, and I will say that, they all have their staves now, that all have little tiny animals on them when they're not in staff form. So yeah, lots and lots of furry in this show and furry-esque things. So moving on to the good and the bad. So season 2 ended in a cliffhanger, and from what I've heard, basically Disney canceled this show, and then because of like the cast, the crew, the producers, the fans, the outrage over having ended on a cliffhanger, they basically really had to fight to get picked up for this third season. And so instead of having the 19 or 21 episodes like they did in the first season of like 23-minute episodes, in this one it was three or four 55-minute episodes. So longer episodes, but less overall episodes. So, at most 8 equivalent episodes, 8.5, 9, something like that. But so a lot shorter. And the opening was a bit different, but that might have just been, they had a different opening first and second season. Now this one, cool. Wanted to mix things up a bit, but the quality did not decrease. Other than I feel like the collector and how, and I don't feel like this is a spoiler, but like how they solved the collector problem, that I feel like it was too easy of a solution, and they kind of glossed over the atrocities that occurred because of him, and I don't think enough weight was given to his actions, and how they solved it felt a little bit like, okay, that's solved, now on to this other thing that we want to get to. So it felt like we built this thing up, but this other thing's more interesting, so solve that, move on to this other interesting thing. So, but I have heard other interpretations that I can understand the other interpretations for why it was solved and how fast or not fast, depending on who you talk to and what their feelings are. And so I do understand that there could be other perspectives on that, but this is my channel, so this is my perspective. I did still overall very much enjoy the show. I liked that they're in the human realm and they're exploring that, and then what I like about the show is that it avoids most cliches. Yeah, there was a little bit of that in season 2, I'd say more so than season 1, but for the most part, it avoids the cliches of like, oh, here's this problem, and it's the worst problem ever that would be easily solved if I just told my friends about it, but I'm not going to, and it's going to cause even more problems that will just get worse because I don't want to tell my friends about it or the person that it affects. And so, for the most part, especially in season 2, they avoided that. In this one, there's a little bit of that, but not enough to annoy me. I think that they were appropriate in how they handled it and what level of problems it did or did not create. So, good job there. The animation quality, still excellent. I love that the characters' expressions are fun. They don't have that, like, Steven Universe face sameness. They have very different style of animation, in my opinion, and I really love how rich the backgrounds are. If you didn't pay attention to season 1 or season 2, which you should have, but just look at the backgrounds and how much is always going on in the backgrounds of so many of these shots. It's so good, and there's all this constant movement. It doesn't have the old, 90s anime style thing where there's just this beautiful scenery or shot, and then they just slowly pan over it because that was expensive to make. And this, no, there's camera angles changing, but there's also action and things happening and moving around on the screen and change. So definitely high quality animation there. Story is great. I like how it ended. I felt like they had an appropriate ending for the end of a show, because sometimes in American shows they just go on and on and on forever until nobody cares about them anymore, and then it just kind of peters out, or then you get like some type of like, but the adventure continues, but you'll never see it because this is the end of the show. And in this case, it's not like, and I don't feel like this is a spoiler, but it's not like everybody dies at the end and you're like, well, that solves that, no more adventure for them. But how they do end the series, I felt like they spent enough time to give you like the epilogue of what happened after the big thing. So, and that's one of the things that I really care about in a show like this, where I've come to know and like these characters and care about what happens to them. They did a good job of telling you what happens after the big thing to the areas, and in a pretty logical way. And they had a bait and switch for a second in one of the things, and you'll see it, you'll be like, oh. So, good on them for that. I don't want to spoil it for you, but they did a good thing. It was solid. But yeah, overall, definitely enjoyed this show, enjoyed this series, and I enjoyed this season. And would I have liked more of it? Sure, because it's just, I like all the different magical powers and the different characters and the side characters and the story development. But I can also appreciate that they got their series ending that tied up a lot of the loose ends, while not going so long as to just lose all audience and relevance, like some, I mean, even American, like not just Supernatural, which Supernatural brought it back a couple times. I know it's not all bad, but it definitely stayed longer than it needed to, but still love those characters. Simpsons, Family Guy, they've been on for freaking ever, and how many of you still watch those? Huh? Yeah, exactly. So I appreciated this. Could it have been longer? Sure, but I felt like they tied up enough, and I enjoyed the whole thing, maybe because it had to end sooner, that they were able to just squeeze in so much goodness, like how Firefly could have been definitely a lot longer, but they squeezed in so much goodness because of that. So yeah, that's really all I have for this one. 2 thumbs way up. Definitely check it out. But that's all I have for this. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next one. Bye.